guys, how are you? Long time no see. Paula here. If you're new, welcome. This is my channel, The Flavorful Home, and we're in my kitchen again. I have been a busy bee. I am a grandma already to two beautiful granddaughters, 19 and 21 years old. But on December 7th, I became a grandma to a little boy. And we are all very excited and over the moon with joy. He was prayed for many, many years, and God has blessed us immeasurably. And this Christmas is going to be very special with him. We're all very excited. So between Thanksgiving, my grandson, Christmas wrapping, Christmas card making, Christmas present mailing, I've been busy. But I had to take a minute to share some traditional Italian baking. And today we're making struffoli. Struffoli is honey balls. And the recipe is here from my Lydia Bastianich cookbook. As you can see, it is used and loved, splattered, spilled, and everything else. Her recipe is on page 378. And I want to show you. You can see I write little notes to myself. You know what I say all the time. I always say, in your kitchen, you're the boss, applesauce, except when it comes to baking, because a chemical reaction has to take place. But there is a little window that you can play with. Spices. Maybe you like nutmeg. Maybe you don't like cinnamon. When you cook, when you bake these recipes, you learn the feel of things. And so you can alter a little. And so I'm going to take you along on one of my favorite holiday bakes. Come on. All righty, what do we got here? Her recipe calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour or as needed. I do 2.5. I found the 3 cups made it a bit too dry. And here is the grated zest of a half of a lemon and a half of an orange. You'd take a tablespoon of sugar. You don't need a lot of sugar because your honey syrup is what's going to sweeten the struffoli big time. A pinch of salt, 4 eggs, a tablespoon of unsalted butter. You want it a little soft. It's going to get worked into the dough. I use vanilla. She calls for a teaspoon of grappa, rum, or vanilla. Well, I thought I was going to be a cool Italian chick, and I ran out to get grappa. Ugh, I wanted to die. That stuff tastes like caca. No grappa for me. That's, I think you could remove nail polish with that stuff. So that was a waste of money. I just use my good old homemade vanilla. And it gets a little bit like the Keystone Cops because you're going to dump it on your counter and add the eggs to it, and it becomes a contest to make sure you don't lose any of the stuff. But look, very easy, very simple, basic ingredients. The tedious part is rolling them out and making them into the little balls that get fried. For the honey syrup, it's 2 cups of honey, a half a cup of sugar, and a 1/3 cup of water. And you also need the little round multicolored sprinkles, but I'll show you that as we go along. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about the things I've discovered as I've made Struffoli through the years. Okay, let's get going here. Okay, first things first, I clear off my counter. I wipe it down with one of my Clorox wipes so that it's clean and sanitized. I wash my hands. This is stuff that you guys know already. What you do first is you add your sugar, your zest, and your pinch of salt, and you combine your dries. You want the dries dispersed nicely before you dump it all onto your counter. As I make a mess, which I always do, and that's okay. Just keep mixing it. By the way, did you notice in the shot of the ingredients, my beautiful Marconi peppers? Can you believe that it took this long for those peppers to finally come through? It's too hot here in the summer. They did so much better in the fall. I didn't get a single Marconi. My husband went out and picked 5 of them. We're gonna stuff them with the breadcrumb stuffing like you do a mushroom or an artichoke and fry them up. Okay. Now, I want to get you centered so you guys are seeing everything good. Oop, there goes my finger. In. Oh, well. And then you're gonna start cracking your eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're gonna add your vanilla, if that's what you're using. Whatever it is, if you're using grappa, rum, don't use grappa. And that goes, teaspoon. Now before, let me get my fork out because I kind of use it to give the eggs a little mix. And then I'll show you the butter. I break and just kind of go like, I pinch it. And once this all comes together, you're going to wrap it and just let it rest on the counter for an hour. Oh, the butter's nice and soft. And I kind of notice I have my scraper. Now, this is nothing. When I make my grandma's cookies, it's a dozen eggs and it gets hairy. It's also 2 pounds of flour, but you still got a dozen eggs flying all over the place and you're rushing to get it all. As soon as it finally punches through, then I use my dough scraper. to really get it going. And here we go. Okay, I'm not going to talk much, I think, because I want to make sure I don't lose any of this. This is the Keystone Cops part. No, not too bad. See that? Not too bad. You don't want to miss any. So go back and scrape. Get all of your flour, even off of your fork. And you just work it. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. I hate this. I don't like my hands getting all yucky. So this is the worst part for me. I have a thing about that. I don't know why, to be honest. Just make sure you give it a good working. You want that butter to get dispersed. For where I am, I don't know, it might be different in your neck of the woods. You do not need 3 cups of flour. You just don't. So I'm going to tell you that now. As it goes, you'll feel if it needs it or not. Get your little pieces. And as you work it, it'll start coming off your hands. Hence why you want clean hands. Beautiful. Oh, I love my Struffoli. It's so good. My partner, he's not here, my Sophia. She went to a cookie baking party with a friend. She's my pal. She usually does this with me. Actually, it's the other part, the tedious part. She helps by rolling it out with me and making the balls. And then once we have it going, then I fry and she rolls. She is my buddy. Alexa, stop. I also have hoagie rolls going. My son is home from college, and so I buy cold cuts for him, and I make the rolls so he could have heroes or hoagies, depending on where you're from. I'm a Brooklyn girl. We say heroes. And there you go. That looks really nice. Let me see what she says exactly. Gather the dough. Yeah, just continue working in all of the flour. And she says you want it to come together but not be dry. So that's why you may not even need 2.5. 2 cups may do the trick. And then there you go. A beautiful dough. And I will wrap it up, put it on this counter. I'll let it sit for an hour and we'll come back for the next phase. Alrighty, my beautiful friends, here we have the dough. It is rested and it is so nice and tender. What you're going to do is you're just gonna cut a little piece off. Lydia describes it as the size of a plum. And you're going to start your roll. In the meantime, you want to have your pan starting to heat up your oil. And her recipe says 3 cups of veggie oil for frying. I like to just make sure bottom of my pan and maybe a 1/2 inch up is nicely covered so that these will float well. Depending on the size pan you use, it will be different. So I will show you what mine looks like after we get this going a bit. It's like you're playing with Play-Doh, making a snake. She says to about a 1/3 inch thickness. And of course, my counter is well clean. Now your dough is gonna, it just does it, it stretches back, not stretch back, it shrinks back. You see how it's ever so slowly moving? But this is about the size you want. These puppies are gonna puff up. See that? So you don't want them big. You don't want ginormous Struffoli, because then they're really more like Sphinx, which are regatta dough balls. I guess I should, no, it doesn't matter because I'm a lefty. You're gonna see it different. Whoop. So you go like this. And I'm not gonna bore you. This is the tedious process. So we'll come back when we're gonna fry. Okay, I quickly wanted to show you my pan. I'm using my cast iron pan. And Lydia says temperature to 350. And I'm trying to see about, okay, so it's about up to here as far as depth. Again, I'm going to dunk one even though the oil is not ready. But you see, that's fine. Absolutely fine. You don't need more than that. But again, it's going to all depend on your pan. If you have a smaller one, your oil can be adjusted. The oil isn't important, the oil depth, the temperature, and making sure that you're able to get them in there and out. I also will put them on a cookie sheet lined with a paper towel so that they drain. But I just wanted to give you a quick shot of my pan as it comes up to temperature. Just a quick heads up. Oil temperature is important when you're frying. Too cold, you have a greasy, soggy mess. When your oil isn't hot enough, the food absorbs it. Too hot, and they're going to burn. So you want to make sure you stay in that 350 range. Maybe a little cooler, maybe a little hotter, but don't do 300, 320, don't do 400. Try to stay in that range so you get perfectly browned little balls. Okay. Okay. A couple of things I wanted to show you. You'll see some of them are the size of small blueberries. Some of them are the size of larger blueberries. That's okay. We're going to put you over here. Let me have you point up a little, and you just gather a bunch and you just put them in. And there they go. I'm going to put more on my spider and dump them in. And then you're going to give them a little spin so that they cook evenly. You see how they puff up? That's why I said you don't want to go super big with them, because they really puff up as they cook. And you want them to be nice and brown all around. They sizzle up beautiful. See if I could get you in a little bit closer. And there you go. You're making Struffoli. How you like that? Just. And I have my flame on the lowest it'll go, because this is my very high burner. It's actually for wok cooking. But it is my favorite burner because it's right next to the counter. And remember what I said, they're not going to be very sweet, because the sweetness comes from the honey when you make the syrup for it. And the beauty is you get so many of them because you're rolling little tiny blueberries. And that's been, I don't know, about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And then you give it a little shake. And here is my paper towel lined cookie sheet. And in they go to drain. And then you start your next batch. Since my partner is in here, I have to roll them out myself. So what I will do is I will shut this off for a couple of minutes, and when I'm almost ready to put them in again, I will put it back on so that it gets back up to temperature of 350. Give it a little shake, and let me put you, and that's it. There you go. There's your Struffoli. See that? How nice. A yummy little Italian Christmas tradition. Okay, just to show you, this is about half of the dough disc left, and this is what I have fried up so far. So you get a nice amount of the Struffoli, and they're just perfect little bites. The hint of the citrus from the grated zest is absolutely perfect. They're coming beautiful. And as you could see, there are various sizes. Some are a little bigger than others. Some are a little misshapen, and that's okay. But this is what they look like cooked up. I'm going to just keep humming along, and when we're ready to start the syrup, we'll come back. Alrighty, guys, all the Struffoli is fried. Up next is 2 cups of honey, a 1/3 cup of water, and a 1/2 cup of sugar. You're going to add it all to your pot. My finger keeps getting in the way. Get that honey in. You see why you don't need a lot of sugar in the Struffoli itself? Because you have all this. I'm actually going to put some of the water, not some, I'll put all the water in. Excuse me. And I'm just gonna got that all in there. And then you're gonna bring it to your stove. You're getting a first-hand look of, I'll show you, my nuclear. This is why I call it my nuclear. That's the lowest it goes, which really isn't that low. But that's why I call it my nuclear burner. And it's wide. It's wide like that. A wok will sit on it. So I really don't do wok cooking. Okay, pull that up a little. And let me raise you so that you can see in the pot. And you want your sugar, water, and honey to come together. And yes, it is a very big pot for not a lot of liquid, but I'm going to put all of these into here and mix them. Now, what happens is it comes up to a boil. And Lydia says, boil till it stops foaming. Here's the problem, at least for me. It might be different for you. It doesn't stop foaming for me. I'm going to read the exact instructions. And I will also do a Google Doc printable when I post the video, so you can print it up. It says, increase the heat to high and bring the syrup to a boil. The syrup will foam up dramatically when it comes to a boil. Continue cooking until the foam dies down. And as you can see, my little note says, doesn't stop foaming. After 4 minutes, shut gas. How do I know? Well, I was cooking it and cooking it and cooking it, and I wound up with more of a candy than a syrup because it didn't stop foaming. So I let this go maybe 4 minutes, and then I shut it because I don't want candy. I want a syrup. And that's what I mean when I say you learn different things as you make recipes. And that was one of the things I learned with this recipe. For me, it never stopped foaming. It very well may stop foaming when you make it. And if that's the case, wonderful. If it doesn't stop foaming, don't let it go too long, because you're going to have a candy coating instead of a syrup. And you want to be able, after you put your Struffoli in here and mix it, and then you're going to pile it into a dish, you want to be able to gently heat the bottom so the honey becomes soft again, and you can dig into the honey and the Struffoli. And there you go. Alrighty, my friends, we're gonna let this go, and when it starts doing that crazy, furious bubbling, we'll come back. I'm sorry, I don't think any of that recorded voice-wise, but this is what it looks like, and you can see it is foamy. It is definitely foamy. Alrighty, we're gonna turn off and get ready to dump them. All right, now we're going to start dumping the Struffoli. I'm going to use my spider because that's just easier. Guys, this is on fire. You're talking about hot sugar. So please, please be careful. And we're going to do it a little at a time. Go. It's an avalanche. All right, let's give it a mix again. Comes all around. The consistency is absolutely perfect of the honey. And let's get the rest. And I'm going to tilt you over. See that? That's why you need the big pot, so that you can get all your little Struffolis in and mix away. All right, I'm going to get ready to move it over so that it could go into its, I use a glass Pyrex pie dish, and I'll get my sprinkles. This is the Pyrex. Actually, it says Anchor Hocking, but this is the dish I use. These are the sprinkles. You could see they're all round. And now we're going to move it over and get ready. And I do it in sections because I obviously want the sprinkles to be dispersed. So I'm going to try to do this without being burned. So just bear with me. That. And this is as much a big part of it as anything else. If I don't have enough sprinkles on here, my hubby will say, it needs more sprinkles. This is what tradition is all about. This is how I am transported back to my grandma's home in the kitchen with, ooh, that is hot, my aunts and my mom and my grandma and my cousins, as my grandpa would play jingle bells that the dogs barked. Oh my gosh, yes indeed. Those were, and he had his Polaroid camera, and he would take so many pictures of us all while those dogs barked jingle bells. And he'd smile from ear to ear. Gosh, those are wonderful memories. Boy, I didn't think I'd get choked up, but I am. I'm going to trade. I need another pot holder because that one is very hot from the pot being on it. Okay. Let's get that all out. My friends, traditions are such wonderful things. You think a child doesn't hold on to them, but we do. And then we grow up and we pass them on to our children. So remember that. Whatever your tradition is, keep it going so that your child can share it with their children. And a part of you and your legacy carries on to the future. Notice I'm trying to get them all so that I don't get told there's not enough sprinkles. My grandpa Henry and my grandma Lucy. Oh, gosh, good memories. By the way, this wonderful pot holder was made by my friend Jana, and I use it quite a bit because it's a nice, thick pot holder. What do you think of that, friends? Not too shabby, huh? Just remember, when you're going to serve them, the honey will start to, and it already is, the honey will start to firm up. So I don't want to spill, but you can, on a very low flame, and if you have a trivet, even better, if you're using a glass like this, heat it gently so that you can get a spoon and just scoop them out. They're still crackling, but I'm gonna be brave. Perfection. They smell so good. I sure hope you'll try them. They glisten with the honey. They are so pretty, and they'll look pretty on your table. It's a wonderful celebratory dish to share at the holidays. Good stuff, folks. Good stuff. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you won't be intimidated. Don't be. It's not hard. It's just tedious. There's a big difference between the two. I hope that maybe you'll make it part of your family's holiday traditions. They're so good with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. They're addicting like sunflower seeds. You cannot eat just one. Once I start, it's like, oh, Struffoli. It brings me back to my childhood. And isn't that really what this is all about? Making memories, remembering, enjoying family. I hope you'll consider trying it yourself. If you're new, I hope you'll come back. In the meantime, go create something wonderful. Bye-bye.